Hello everyone. Welcome to your Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. My name is Ruben. I will be your host. Yesterday we had so much fun creating a case study, but today we have an amazing and a special challenge, which will be an Adobe XD 101 part 1, because tomorrow we'll have part 2. And what we're going to be doing today is actually, it's more dedicated to Adobe XD beginners. So that way you learn the basics of Adobe XD by using components, using states, using 3D transforms, etc. So let's jump into it right away. All right, so we have your prompt here that we're going to be discussing today. This is kind of like part 1. Like I said, we're going to be doing part 1 today and part 2 tomorrow. We're going to be focusing on components, states, and 3D transforms. All right, so let's get started right away. Because we're going to be doing some of showing you. I'm going to be showing you the importance of each one of those features, but then also we're going to be creating some prototypes and stuff like that. So that way you get to create cool prototypes and also kind of like help you out with the workflow when you're working on prototypes, design, and everything within Adobe XD. All right, so for inspiration, we have some inspiration from the website, from the Adobe website. We're going to be doing something similar to this as far as like state for these buttons and stuff. So we have some components already in here. We have some assets. If you wanted to download these assets, make sure you look for the description below and check for those. Check for the link. There's a link with the source files there. Just click on it, download the files, and then just, follow along. All right. So let's start with the components and why components are very important. Components allow you to reuse those components on different screens and everything. And if you wanted to make a global change, for example, like you have specific colors and stuff like that, they allow you to make a change on the master of that component, and then everything will change accordingly within your file. Like all the instances where you have that component will change automatically, and I'm going to show you how it works. So let's go into the library section here, and what we are going to do, I was playing around before, so I'm going to just like delete this stuff. You have your colors, you have your character styles, you have your components, and these stuff are very, very important. And I'm going to show you how it works. Like pretty simple stuff when it comes to components and also colors and stuff like that. All right, so let's say I'm going to press A, and I'm going to just create like a few artboards. I don't know. And then what I'm going to do is just like copy this file, and I'm going to just actually command click and just add in a color. And this is what I mean by using components. We're going to do it with the color first, but then we're going to do it with actual components and stuff like that. All right. So, let's imagine you have this component here. Let's imagine you have this one here. Let's imagine you have something smaller here. I don't know, like about there. And you wanted to change the look of these components, right? You will go in here, and I'm doing it with the colors, but later on, I'm going to show you how to do it with the actual component when you create a component. But what you could do here is like, if you want to change all the colors, you will right click, edit, and then you will change the color, and it will change everywhere. This is why it's very important to do that, right? But when it comes to, this is just the color. But when it comes to components, actually, this is when stuff like, let me go back again to the way it was. I'm just going to get rid of this. And what we're going to do is just like, we're going to add a component. We're going to click on it. You can do Command K or right click on it and just make a component. And it'll be added in here. It'll be added in your components section. And as you can see, this is the master of the component because it has a diamond, a filled diamond on the left, on the top left corner. That's your master. That's kind of like if you change something in here, it'll change everywhere. So we're going to do the same thing again, how we did for the color. And what we're going to do is just like press A for the artboard. And what we are going to do, we can drag it from here if you want to, or you can just like hold down Option and just start duplicating and like making, you know, different shapes and stuff. These three are instances of the main one, which is this one. If I click on it and zoom in, you will see that this one has just a empty diamond on the top left, same as this one, because they are instances of this masterpiece. If I grab this and I start editing the master, look what happens. It will change everywhere. And this is why components are very, very important. Because if you have a component and you wanted to change the color, or maybe you wanted to change, I don't know, maybe you wanted to change the position of you know, some of the design elements, you can do that as well, and it'll change everywhere. This is why components are very important when you are creating a website, when you're creating a mobile application, when you're creating web applications. You have components, everything componentized, and when you need to make a change, you don't have to make a change on every single screen. You can just go ahead into the component library, make the change there, and it'll change, it'll replicate, or it will update all those changes into, you know, like whatever changes you make into the master, it'll change to all those instances. And that's why it's very important. Make sure when you create your components that you structure your components the way they are scalable. So that way you can create, you know, more variations of things and make sure, you know, like you use your time more efficiently, right? Component can take advantage of this. It's in order for you to make things happen a lot faster in you know, in a way that it works for everyone. So that's about component. Because we're covering 3 features. We're covering components. I kind of like show you how they work. You can create a component out of, you know, anything. Like this is a button. I can just create a component by pressing Command Control K, and that's another component that is called button. And then if I go ahead and make an artboard and start like bringing, you know, all the buttons for my website that, you know, that are primary buttons, for example, and I have a couple of those, like, you know, like I have a couple of versions of those, but then I wanted to change the color because we used the wrong color. You can just like click on the background and be like, okay, so we're going to change it for a orange color. It's going to change everywhere. And that way you don't have to worry about that. That's why components are very important. All right, so now that we cover components, what we're going to do now is we're going to cover states, right? And states are also a great feature that you can use when you're, you know, want to make small transitions or small micro interactions between elements and stuff like that. So we're going to do that by, hold on one second. Let's just delete this. Maybe what we're going to do is just, let's use this one, for example. This is already a component. So let's just have this color. And what we're going to do for state, we're going to actually be inspired by this. And this is what we're going to do. So we already have a component. If you don't know how to create a component, let's just like delete this. I'm just going to grab this and we're going to focus only on this stuff right here, these two. So we're going to create the state for each one of those micro interactions that we're going to be creating right now. So what we're going to do is like have your, you know, your design already in place, and you're going to convert that into a component by pressing Command K, or just like right click and just make a component. this component will be added into your component section here, search bar. You have it there is the master, because the top diamond, it's filled with gray, and this is your master components. So what we're gonna do for states, we're gonna create a hover state, and we're gonna create a clicked state, right? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go to the right here, and we see a component main section, and we have a default state, which is this one, right? So what we're gonna do is just go to the right and click on that plus button, add a state, and then we're gonna hit hover state. Boom. You can name it, rename it, whatever you want. We're gonna leave it at that right now. And then what we're gonna do, you are on the hover state. Make sure you see that selection, that blue background selection in here. Because if I click on the default, you see it here, selected. If I click on the hover, this is where you wanna make the change. So what we're gonna do here for the hover state, we're gonna command click or control click the background, and we're gonna mimic what they have here. So what we're gonna do is just go into your fill. Then instead of solid, we're gonna do a linear, and then let's pull these away diagonally, kind of like that, and then click on the top one, and then pick, I don't know, for the top one we have that kind of pink, so we're gonna pick that, and then for the bottom one, we're gonna use the eyedropper again, and we're gonna pick this one. So let's just like extend it a little bit more, so that way it's more subtle. It's not super compact, the gradient. So we have kind of like the second version of that. Maybe we can move, you know, kind of like the search icon to the right, maybe. And this is what it does. Like if you click on the component, let's go back to the default, and let's just test this out. But we're gonna do some cool stuff in a second. If I hover, look what happens. This is just a hover state, which is pretty cool, right? But we're gonna go back again, and we're gonna create another state, which is the clicked one. Like if you click on it, and actually activates. So what we're gonna do is just be on the state, and then we're gonna create another one, another state. We're gonna click on add state, and then just, you know, add a new state, and let's just call it clicked. I don't know, just for the sake of this. And then what we're gonna do is just like make sure you are on the clicked state. It's highlighted in light blue, and then click, command click, and then just, I don't know, let's pick this color, or maybe we can do like a little gradient too. So let's go ahead and do like a linear gradient again for this one. Just pull these. Okay. All right. But then for this one, this is way too dark. So we're going to go ahead and pick probably this, but we're going to make it a little bit, tiny bit, little like darker, maybe like, yeah, like about there, maybe about there. And let's just bring this a little. Let's see now. All right, it looks similar, but oh, there you go. I can definitely see the difference there. Perfect. All right. So we have that for the collect state, and what we're gonna do here, we're gonna get rid of this icon, and we're gonna type here, and then all right, let's make this lowercase. Let's make sure like the color that we have is something similar to what we currently have. We're gonna center that there, and then we need like an X icon in there. So for that, I'm gonna go into my plugins, and I'm using icons for design, and I'm gonna go and look for a close, you know, like a close icon. So we can pick this one. Actually, that's kind of cool. Whoops. Make sure you click on your actual design element. And all right, so what we're gonna do is actually pick the same color. You want it to have the same color, which I think it looks good. Now let's see, the hover state is this, The default state is that one. Perfect. Great. Okay, so we have the 3 states, which is pretty good. This is how it's supposed to work. But now we're going to do something even further. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to move this on the side here because we're going to focus only on the actual component, right? So what we're going to do is just press, go to the top left and press prototype. And then what we're going to do is for default state, let's see, we click on it. We have a hover state, which is good. We got Auto Animate. It's going to go to the hover state, which is good. The is out. We're going to do is in and out. And then we're going to do the duration of that. Probably we're going to do 0.8 just to see how that looks. And then let's just test this out. Make sure you save your stuff. All right. So let's see how this looks. Oof, smooth. Look at that. Before it wasn't like that, but we just seen like more settings into the animation. So that way it looks like more smooth. I think this works perfectly. And what we're going to do is just keep playing with the other states. Let's say the hover state. And from here, you have to click in order to go to the type here state. And what we're going to do is just like select that hover state. And then what you're going to do is just click once. It's going to open the panel here, the trigger. The trigger is not going to be hover. It's going to be tap. And then this is what I love about Adobe XD. It remembers like the action that I had on the previous one. So everything it's already in there. It's just the destination that we need to make sure it goes there. So when you click on it, you want it to go to the clicked destination, which is the one that has the type here that we just created. And then let's just test this out just to see how it looks. Okay, that's good. Perfect. And then from here, it needs to go back to the main one, maybe like if we close it. All right. So what we're going to do is just go back again into click, make sure that is clicked, click once. And then from there, we're going to click probably tab, or even if we wanted to do it to the X by itself, like we can even do that if we want to. Like if you click on the X, that's when it's going to go back again. So we're going to click once, and then it's Auto Animate, and then destination, probably default, because we want it to go back to default. Maybe for the easing, we're not going to use ease in and out. Probably going to do snap, maybe, or we could probably change the type of transition. We'll be the judge of that, but let's click on the whole thing again. Let's go to the default. Let's test this out. We're going to do the hover. Perfect. Now it's clickable, so I can click and go to this. And then from here, if I wanted to close it, it'll go back to the default, which is this one. Nice. All right. One thing I didn't like, it was the actual, like when I close this, that transition. I don't like that very much. So we're going to go back again to the clicked. We're going to click on the actual action that we're going to be taking here. And we're going to do probably, I'm going to go transition and then default state, dissolve. Let's put none. And let's see how that looks. So if we go there, we click. Ooh, we went back again, which is interesting. So we're going to go ahead and click transition, default. That's great. Let's do dissolve, snap, 1 point. Yeah, that's perfect. All right. So we're going to the whole thing. We're going to go into default. Let's go there. Boom. We have our hover state. Now we're going to click. Okay. Now type here. You can type your stuff here and then close. Goes back. Perfect. Goes back again to the actual state. This is good. Click, type here, and then close. Goes back to the state. And this is how, states work within Adobe XD. There's so many things you can do with it. Like it's amazing the things that you can do. I'm just showing you one way to do it, which is with a button, but you can do so much more when you're designing and prototyping and creating like interaction elements and stuff like that. All right, so we cover two of those. We cover components, we cover states, and now we can definitely cover some of the 3D, which is pretty cool. All right, so let's get rid of this. I'm gonna just delete this stuff. Let's go back in here. Perfect. And for the 3D stuff, 3D is pretty straightforward. We're just gonna grab this. I'm gonna duplicate it here. And I'm gonna show you like a pretty simple trick that you can do with 3D stuff. So let's just make this a little smaller, maybe like about there, and then just perfectly center this. On the top right here, you have all your alignment settings that you can just, perfectly center them. And then what we're gonna do here is just like click on the actual element and then go to the right where it says transform, and there's a little cube all the way to the right. And what you're gonna do is it says 3D transform, and what you're gonna do, you're gonna click on that. And what he's gonna do is gonna bring these circles where you can move your elements on the X and Y axis. And you can start rotating, like let me just go and zoom in so that way you can see it better. So you see when you hover over the top one, which is the Y axis or the X axis, and you can move it around and you can give a sense of like, oh, this stuff is like on a 3D-dimensional space right now. And there's so many things you can do with this. It's just mind-blowing how this works. This is one trick we can do. Pretty straightforward, just moving things. You can go like, let me just zoom in again. Like I said, on the Y axis also, like you can go like this, you can go like that, like, oh my God, like you can see things like coming out of the interface type of thing, right? But we're gonna do a pretty simple, pretty simple animation just for us to have some fun here. So this one will be kind of like the second state version where it's probably here. Maybe for this one, for the third one, yeah, we can probably move it, I don't know, maybe on the Y axis maybe. So we can go like this. And then the last one, what we could do is probably move it like that, right? And you can move things around, all the elements, however you want, which is pretty insane. Like even like if you go in there, like inside your elements, and you have the elements within elements, you can also do the 3D transformation in there as well if you wanted to do it. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're gonna just go like this, and then from there we're gonna jump into the first state. All right, so go into your prototype, and then from here you're gonna jump into here. We're gonna do Auto Animate. It's gonna be not tab, where we're gonna do time, and then we're gonna leave it at 0. And then in the type of transition, we're gonna do Auto Animate, and then go to 2, and then we can do it's in and out, and then 0.8. So we're gonna do the same thing for this. This is what I love about Adobe XD. It's remembering my last animation, my action, goes back again. And then from here, we're gonna go back to the first one. And let's see how that looks. Woo! Look at that. So this is a non-stop, of course, animation that you can definitely do with Adobe XD, and using 3D transforms, moving things around left and right, top and bottom. Also, you can record this if you want to here, and you can record this kind of like animation or little micro animation and send it to your developers or stakeholders or other designers just to get like thoughts and approvals and stuff like that. And yeah, that's kind of like pretty much it for, today's Adobe 101 part 1 class. I hope you guys like it. I'm really excited about part 2 that is coming out tomorrow. Really cool stuff that is coming tomorrow. Make sure you join our Discord, and that way you can, pose your challenges in there. So that way we have our mentors that can help you level up your skills. Definitely recommend that. Join our Discord for sure. And don't forget that tomorrow we have Adobe XD part 2. Thanks so much again, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.